Chapter 2 in Preschool Appropriate Activities, the teacher's role. What do you think the teacher's role is? Well, the teacher's role is number one, to keep everyone safe, right? To make sure that everyone is not in any danger of hurting themselves or others. And then after that, we can work on the other things that teachers are supposed to do. So, the learning objectives for this chapter: understand the teacher's role in a self directed environment. One of the things we'll hear over and over again in this book is about the self directed environment. And basically, that is a child centered classroom where children are given the tools and the expectations to sort of figure out what they want to do and how long they want to do it. And it's self-directed by setting up the classroom physically in a way, setting up the schedule, giving them behavior expectations, etc. Understanding and determining children's developmental levels. You need to have a basic understanding of how children develop and what you can expect at various ages so that you can provide the activities that will help them develop more. And then using the 3M method, which is what our textbook uses for observing interactions between children. Observation is very important, and this is just one way of thinking about observation. So describe manipulation, mastery, and meaning, determine their timeframes and carry out the teacher's tasks, observe children's interactions with materials, and observe children's interactions with one another, and observe the way they interact with you, right? Listen to what they say, record their observations, and we're also going to talk a little bit about using new technology for observations and recording. Being there, being responsive and intentional as children are playing, reflecting on what they're doing and why and what they're talking about and the questions that they're asking you, and serving as a behavior model for the children in your classroom. I think this one is one of the most important things, that you want children to behave. If you want children to behave, then you need to behave. So the behaviors that you don't want to see in children, you should not be doing. You don't want to see them yelling. You don't want to see them getting angry unnecessarily. So you shouldn't be doing those things in the classroom. Talking about other people, 4-year-olds pick that up, dude. Okay. The teacher in the self-directed learning environment. Your job is to facilitate children's development and play, right? You put together the curriculum and activities based on the goals of your curriculum and your children's developmental levels. So if you're learning about, these girls are doing some sort of apple game. Apples are like a vast curriculum topic that you can do all kinds of things with, right? So how can you teach them or facilitate their learning in math by using apples? How can you facilitate their learning in language by using apples, right? How can you facilitate their learning in physical development, large motor skills by using apples? Can you catch and throw apples? Can you throw apples into a basket? Can you sing a song about apples? I like to eat, I like to eat, I like to eat apples and bananas, right? That's language development. And then supporting children in their use of the materials. Supporting means if the children don't understand some materials that you have available for them, showing them how it's used. Or if they're using them in a way that isn't appropriate, helping them understand this is the way we use this apple catching game, right? Appropriate observation tools. So the way that you are going to develop your curriculum and the way you interact with the children is by observing how the children interact with things around them, and then making changes, adding things, taking things away, scaffolding their learning, which means taking them at the level that they are and with the least amount of interference or involvement, moving them to the next level. So your observation tools should be simple and easy to use right on the spot. You need to be able to observe children as they're doing things, right? You should be able to see how the things that they're doing work with the curriculum easily. and you want it to be sensible but not time consuming. So you should be observing children all the time, right? You should be watching how they're interacting with each other, what their language is, how they are using toys, how they're, what they're thinking. You should be seeing this all the time. And then that should be informing what you're doing with them, right? So you want to have some sort of regular and easy way to observe. And there are a lot of different things that you can do. Do you get out your phone and just record for a little bit? That one has some issues. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Do you keep a stack of index cards in your back pocket and a pen and just jot things down as you see them? How do you take the time to make sure you're keeping track of those observations? The 3M method for observing interaction. Focus on spontaneous exploratory interactions with material and activities. So when a kid sits down with Legos, watch what happens. And you want to look at manipulation. How are they moving these things around, right? Mastery. How good are they at it? Have they figured out how to make a house or to make a helicopter or whatever? And what meaning are they putting behind it? So when they make a helicopter, what are they talking about? What does it mean to them? So the stages of this. So you should observe the children at work and play and identify the stages. Manipulation is a child plays around with an object. Mastery is the child uses the object correctly over and over. And meaning is the child puts meaning on the object. So that may be a child's just messing around with some Legos. And then they start putting together Legos into shapes. And then they say, oh, and this is a dinosaur that I built with my Legos. Okay. So you can see that they're learning about how things work there, right? First, they learn how they fit together. Then they learn how to put them together to make shapes. And then they learn how to put them together to make something that they intended to make. Observe and listen to children in learning centers, record the observations, like I said, respond to individuals as they work and play, and serve as a behavior model for the children. Responding to them as they work and play is very important. You should be asking them open-ended questions. What are you going to make next? What are you thinking about while you're working on this? How did you know that that one fit there? What colors are you thinking about using? What does it sound like when you throw all the Legos around? So these are not yes or no questions. They're mostly not one-word answer questions. What do you like about playing with Legos? They are questions that encourage children to think about what their response is. That's an open-ended question. When you are observing children who are working with one another or playing with one another, first of all, you may have, and this is a continuum of development, right? So the younger children are going to have unoccupied behavior. They don't really know what to do. They're kind of looking around. They just haven't found something yet. Onlooker behavior. I see somebody playing with something, but I'm just watching. I'm not ready to jump in there yet, but I will. I know something's going on there that I'm interested in, right? Solitary independent play. I like to play with the cars. So I go get the cars. I'm not inviting anyone to play with me. I'm not trying to play with anybody else. I play with cars. That's what I do. Parallel play. Sometimes when I'm playing with cars, George gets out a box of cars and we play next to each other. That's parallel play. We're not playing together. We don't share the same roads. We don't, park the cars in the same places. I move my cars. He moves his cars. We may talk to each other occasionally, but that we're not playing together. And then last is cooperative play. Cooperative play is where we are playing together. We are sharing the roads. My car is driving where his car is driving. Oh my gosh, here comes the fire truck. We have cooperation happening. And this is, like I said, a continuum from unoccupied behavior to cooperative play. Children take stages along the way. It's super important to listen to what children say, and it's super important to talk to children. So that means you actually listen to them. You hear what they're saying and you acknowledge what they're saying and you respond to what they're saying. Keep carefully tuned into what children are saying as they interact. This is when they're talking to each other, right? You want to just listen in, right? You're eavesdropping on what they're doing. How interactive are they? Are they making up stories together? Are they just saying, "Hey, can you hand me the red one?" What what's happening there? What's the children's social involvement? Are they playing together, right? Or are they just talking to each other? And then what do you think you should do next? Can you encourage them to expand on their conversation, to expand on what they're talking about together? Recording observations, on the spot recording of the child observations. Write down how a child uses materials, interacts with peers, and talks about it all. In my old preschool, we had little printed slips that had a place where you wrote down the child's name, the date, you circled the place where the observation took place. So if it was in the blocks center or the art center, and then you just wrote down what you saw. And if they said anything, you could write that down as well. Keep them in your pocket, and at the end of the day, you get them all out and sort them out. This is kind of a child interaction form. These were very small. They were just little slips of paper. But this is a form that you can use for data collection that helps you focus on what's going on, right? This is what that child interaction form looks like. There are a variety of these. If you Google preschool observation form, you'll come up with a ton of different things. What you want is something that fits with the curriculum that you're using, that fits with the sort of philosophy of your program, and that's easy for you to use. And as long as you have that and you're being consistent about it, then it's a good form. Focus on the children, not on the note taking. You want to repeatedly review what's happening. This is when you're using new technology for observing and recording. So if you're getting out your iPhone and you're just recording something, it's helpful because you are not jotting things down. So you can be in that moment, and you can be in that moment later as well, right? So you can go back and look at it and say, "Oh, I didn't notice that Julie was sorting all the Legos by color." It's a very rich way of getting that observation, but it can be intrusive once you start recording. Sometimes kids think they need to be the star of the show, right? So, and there are privacy issues with it, right? I don't want my kids on your private iPhone. I don't know what you're doing with that footage. So you need to make sure that it's okay with parents, it's okay with your school, and that you're not doing it in a way that's intrusive. Responding to individual children as they work and play. So you want to praise children. You want to give them support, encouragement, and direction. Just saying good job, not good enough. You want to talk about the actual activities that they're doing and why those things are good or positive, or you like to see that. Describing interactions with validating, personal, respectful, and accepting qualities, right? And you want the majority of the things that you say to children in a preschool classroom to be positive. The only time you should say anything that's not positive is when a child is in danger of hurting themselves or others, or they're doing something that's so disruptive that you need to shut it down. Most of the time, you should be talking about what a great job they're doing, how they're so good at stacking those blocks, how they're working so hard on that painting, how much fun it was to watch them building that Play-Doh monster. So, how great they are at telling their friends their feelings when they feel sad or when they feel angry. That's the kind of feedback that helps children develop and learn. Saying good job doesn't help, right? It's just like a filler. It is a way to acknowledge that they did something, but that's all it does. I'll post an article called The End of Good Job or something so they can read that. Reflecting the child's action with comments. So that's what we're talking about. Make comments that reflect specifically what the teacher sees, right? Oh, there are so many people who are sitting crisscross applesauce. That's such a great thing that makes me so happy. I am, you are so excellent at putting the toys away when I ask you to, right? Asking questions in a way that will elicit statements from the children about their work. This is open ended questions. Oh, wow. I see that you used red paint there. What made you decide to use red? How does it feel when you put your hands in the sand? Those kinds of things. And then avoiding terms of judgment. One thing that I see a lot of teachers do, and this is a hard thing, is when you have everybody trying to do something, so you're trying to get everybody to line up, and then you single out the people who are doing a good job lining up. How does that make the other kids feel, especially if it's a kid who, for whatever reason, can't get it together to line up the way some kids can? Some kids can't just sit crisscross applesauce. Some kids have a hard time standing still. So when you're standing there saying, oh, I like the way Mallory and Jason and Veronica and Andrea are standing so still, but Peter, I need you to get yourself together, that singles him out. So another way to do that is to thank the people who are doing it correctly. So thank you, Mallory. Thank you. I can't remember the names I use. Veronica. Thank you, Jason, for standing still. And then maybe Peter, can I help you? Is there anything? So it isn't, you're not telling them that you like when you say, I like how Peter is standing, I like how Veronica is standing, whatever. It tends to be more judgy than just saying thank you. So just watch how you say those things to kids. And most important, be a behavior model. Let the learning environment do the teaching, right? In preschool, it's not developmentally appropriate for us to stand in front of a classroom with all the children sitting down and tell them what we're going to learn today. What we should be doing is sitting down with the children, reading books, talking, right? We should be a facilitator. Let the program feature respectful relationships. You should be talking to your co-teachers in a respectful way. You should be modeling the kind of relationship that you want to see with among children in your classroom, with your co-teachers, with parents, right? You want to show them how they should behave, right? So a lot of times we have these rules in the classroom that are hard for children to understand, mostly because we only talk about them in terms of words and we don't physically show them how to behave. So if you have a problem with running in your classroom, you might want to take them all into the big room and say, we've had a lot of trouble with running in our classroom. And here's what the problem is. We can't run in our classroom because it's unsafe. It might hurt us and it might hurt others. So maybe what you do is you run around a little bit and you dramatically fall down and hurt yourself, right? And you say, oh, that was because I was running. If I had been walking like I'm supposed to do in the classroom, I wouldn't fall down and I wouldn't hurt other people. You have to be really specific, really intentional, and really detailed about this stuff, because kids don't know that. Like they don't know, like they don't run because they're trying to break the rules. They don't even think about it. They just start running. Like there's no intention with the running. It's the speed that they're going. If you say to them, look, when you do that, this is what could happen. And if you do it yourself and you make a big deal about it and it's funny, that makes a big impression and that will help change behavior. Put yourself in the place of the child, like I said, and help them discover answers. Model caring, set the stage and lead the way. So be a happy, confident person. I go into so many classrooms where I see teachers who just look sort of downtrodden. And I understand that it's hard, but you can't, the behavior that you exhibit is the behavior that you're going to see your children exhibit. So you need to be careful about what you do. In my perfect preschool, teachers wouldn't wear flip-flops. Teachers wouldn't drink pop in the classroom. Teachers wouldn't sit down most of the time. Teachers would be engaged. They would be being the best student in the classroom, really. Show delight in what the children are doing. Oh my gosh. They love it when you're excited, and they get excited too. Listen seriously to children. Listen to what they're telling you. Have conversations with them. Some children, I've had several children over the years who didn't really talk about anything. And when I got them one on one, when, I took them down to help me with snack, or I happened to be in the classroom and they came back from the bathroom, those were the best conversations. And sometimes kids need that. They need that one on one. So take small groups or take individual children and do things with them and talk to them. Don't talk down to them. They don't need baby words. They don't need you to make your speech any less interesting. They want big words. They want new things. They want you to explain things to them. The best things that we can do, really the best thing that you can do anytime in a preschool classroom, is talk to kids and listen to them and have deep conversations about what's going on. Treat others as you would like to be treated. you know if you don't want to be yelled at, maybe you shouldn't yell at your kids either, right? um and not ridicule them. um it's okay to tease a little bit, but ridiculing is not okay. Add beauty to the learning environment. I look around sometimes at preschool classrooms and wonder, why is this such a dump? And I understand, you got 15 4-year olds there all day. They're going to mess everything up. But maybe look around your classroom and take out a third of the stuff and see if it makes a difference. See if it makes it a calmer environment. It can't hurt.